Hey, how's Mookie Betts? Every time I read
that's
anything,
a great question, huh?
Yeah.
I know it's funny too because he lost so much weight. Obviously, there was conflicting reports of whether he was down to 150, 157, 158. The point is he
Whoa.
lost a lot of weight in a very short amount of time, and but he's okay. I mean, Dave Roberts said he was going to be in the opening day lineup tonight, and he went from not being able to keep anything down, vomiting every time he had any sort of solid food, to being okay. So. Do I think Mookie Betts is 100%? No, but he looks like he is going to be in there, and obviously he has a supporting cast around him that he doesn't have to carry the team. I think it's going to take him, just the same amount of time that he was on the shelf. It's probably going to take him that length of time to be full strength. I mean, 20 pounds, 25 pounds on a guy that's not a big dude to begin with is a lot of weight to lose in a very short amount of time.
So what are your expectations for him at shortstop? A lot of people think this is a stretch obviously he's an unbelievable athlete, but people I work with like Greg Bergman say, oh no, shouldn't be out there at shortstop, should be at second base, more natural position for him. What do you think of Mookie at short?
Well, first of all, what's up, Greg? He's my guy for adopting a dog through Goodreads Guardian Foundation.
Very nice.
But you know what? The thing about Mookie Betts is, as you mentioned, he has an unbelievable ability to figure it out, right? He's the best athlete in the game. And yes, shortstop is a difficult position, but Mookie Betts has put in the work for it. I have talked to Dino Ebel at length. I've talked to Dave Roberts at length about it. I've even talked to, Mark Pryor, who has nothing to do with the position players, about the amount of effort that Mookie has put in at the shortstop position. The other good thing is, guys, if something were to happen and it's an absolute catastrophe at short, that team has so much versatility on other guys that can play short. I mean, you have Tommy Edman, who I personally would love to see as the starting center fielder every day.
Right.
But you have a guy that can play short second. You have TK. You have CT. I know CT's bat's not been there. I know he hasn't performed well offensively, but he can play short. Tommy Edman can play short. Miguel Rojas, let's not forget about him, obviously, who has been teaching Mookie how to play a better shortstop. I mean, Miguel Rojas is a Gold Glove shortstop. So I'm not worried about it. I believe if anybody can handle the position, it is Mookie. It's his second year in the position. And if everything blows up in their face, they have other guys that can take over.
Why do you think he wanted to play shortstop so badly?
I think he's just a guy that wants to do anything that he can for the team to win. And I know that's super cliche, but Mookie Betts has nothing to prove. He's a 3-time World Series champion. I mean, this guy is unbelievably talented. And he's hungry. This team, despite having come off a World Series win, they're humbled and understand how hard it is to do what they did. And this team going into tonight is better than the team last year. I think he's truly a type of guy. The way that they handled the final 3 weeks of the season last year when Max Muncy was like, listen, we got to put everything else on the back burner with the exception of one another. I think the team really bought into that. And, yes, they're fathers and husbands first. But for the 3 weeks to end the season last year, they were all about one another. And I believe Mookie has really carried that into this season. And I've never worried about Mookie Betts at any position.
So a lot of people are talking about Shohei Ohtani, obviously, pitching. And it seems as though there was a point where things were looking like May. Now they're looking deeper into the season. How much do you expect Shohei Ohtani to pitch this year?
Mace, we don't need him until the second half of the season.
Right.
I mean, I think that it's very smart on their part to be really cautious with Shohei Ohtani when it comes to the pitching side of things because they have a billion arms. If they were as thin this year as they were last year, I would think that there'd probably be a little bit more pressure for Shohei Ohtani, but he's a $700 million man on paper. He brings in so much more money for that team than $700 million. It would behoove them to take a phrase from former Dodgers manager Jim Tracy, to play it slow. And here's another unique thing about Shohei Ohtani. It's not like you can send him to AAA on a rehab assignment because he's your everyday DH.
Yeah.
He's a 50-50 guy. So it's not like you can send him out to rehab when you need him in the lineup every single day. So they're going to be very cautious with Shohei coming off of 2 different surgeries. They're going to be very cautious with Shohei Ohtani, making sure that he's healthy. They don't need him just like they don't need Kirsch until the second half of the season.
Oh, man, Jim Tracy, that is a
that's
heck of
a
right
pull.
there.
Yeah,
That's
I
why you're
haven't
the
heard
best,
Jim's
Alanna.
name in a while.
Jim Tracy just sat up in his chair. Whoa. It's almost the same question I have with Mookie, which is, I don't know that the Dodgers need him to be their everyday shortstop. I think they have plenty of candidates there. I think he wants to be that. Do the Dodgers even need Shohei to pitch? Is the injury risk with the 2 surgeries, is it worth him even pitching?
Well, I think you also want to make sure your player's happy, and that's the whole reason. Remember, that's the whole reason he went to the Angels before he came to the Dodgers, because at the time, remember, there was not a DH in the National League, and he really wanted to make sure that he could do both, and that was why the Angels, the only time I think, Ramona, the Angels have been more favorable than the Dodgers as far as anybody's making a decision to want to play there. But now that he can do both in this league, and obviously he gets to LA, going up to 5, and he wins the World Series. You want Shohei Ohtani. You paid him $700 million to be on both sides of the ball.
Right.
But that being said, he's also a commodity, and you're not going to run him out there at the risk of losing him for an entire season offensively as well. So they'll be cautious, but they're listening to Shohei, and there's no way that Shohei is not going to pitch this year.
When I look at the rest of the National League, to me there's one team that is head and shoulders above everybody else that would be the challenger for the Dodgers, and I think that's the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves are the team, I can see playing in the NLCS. They've got Acuna coming back. They've got Strider coming back. They're getting healthy, good young lineup. Some of those guys had off years like Austin Riley last year. I think those guys bounced back. Do you think Atlanta is the biggest challenger from the National League?
I think the Phillies are. I do not count out Atlanta. I think the NL East is a lot better than people think it is. I know a lot of people are talking about the NL West, which they should be. I think every team minus the Colorado Rockies can really contend as far as getting into the postseason. Maybe not winning the division, but as a wild card team, minus Colorado. But I think the NL East is in the same situation. I think, again, minus the Marlins. I think the Phillies are phenomenal. I think the Braves are great. And don't forget about the Mets with Juan Soto and as loaded as that team is. Yeah. So I really trust what Rob Thompson and Dombrowski have done in Philadelphia. I've always liked their lineup, and they have really good starting pitching, and they have a decent bullpen.